Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia Crasco, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hi there. Welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast, where I don't sugarcoat the chaos, and I definitely don't pretend that this journey is all Pinterest boards and peaceful co-parenting. I'm your host, Alicia Crasco, stepmom coach, real life stepmom, and the resident truth teller for all the women trying to figure out where the hell they fit in this whole blended family puzzle. Today, we're diving into something that no one talks about. And now, I should say no one talks about enough. That weird, awkward, what even am I phase before you officially become a stepmom. You've met the kids, you're dating the dad, you see the long-term potential, but right now you're not in the family, and also you're not in the family. So if you've ever felt like a guest star in a sitcom you didn't audition for, this podcast episode is for you. Let's talk about what to ask, what to expect, and how to keep your sanity intact in this gray zone stage. So before I get into this podcast episode, I want to tell you why I'm recording it. I had a listener email me and she, sent this long thing. And I thought, oh, you know what? She's right. There's not a lot of conversation, or there's not a lot of content about that weird in-between stage of like, am I a stepmom? Am I not a stepmom? Like, what do I do? So I'm going to read you what she wrote, but I'm going to omit a few of the details so it doesn't like out her. Not that I think that it would. But here's what she says. I've been dating a guy for over a year and have just met his two kids, 10 and 13. So while I'm not a stepmom yet, that's where I hope this will go, and hence found your podcast. Thanks so much, as it's so helpful to hear and know there's help out there. Sounds like I'll definitely be needing support in the future. What I'm not finding much in any podcast, book, blog, etc., is people's stories or advice for the time before they became a stepmom. That's the stage I'm at right now. How to integrate into the kids' lives, the timelines, conversations with their partner, going from meeting them to moving in. His ex and him are fairly amicable, and she is supportive of me meeting the kids. She's just met someone too. So I seem to have that easy so far. But with that comes the fact that they do Christmas and birthdays and some occasions, etc., together. They sometimes both travel to the kids' tournaments out of state, even though not together. They are both still out of town and at the games together. For example, they are both planning to go to insert state in a few weeks to be at a tournament, as neither wants to miss it. I understand that, and I want my partner to be there, but it's also hard to be on the outside and in this weird transition phase of me not having a say in anything yet and being too new to go along too. I hope that makes sense. I'd so love to hear more about this weird gray transition phase I feel I'm in. Um, First of all, hell yes on you being excited about becoming a stepmom and for seeking support now. You're going to need it, like you already mentioned. You already know that you're going to need it. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying, good for you, girlfriend. Like, I wish that I was getting the help that I needed this early on, like you are. You're at a great place in your stepmom journey, asking the things that I wish I would have known prior to making the leap and moving from one state to another. If you are new here, hey, I'm Alicia. I'm a stepmom, and I moved from one state to another state to be with my husband. And so I was stepmomming from like a long distance. And then I like jumped out of the fire and into the pan. I mean, jumped out of the pan into the fire. Wow. So as far as integrating into the kids' life, starting with meeting the kids, I know that you've already met the kids, but this is for all stepmoms. Do what feels comfortable for you and your situation. This is very case dependent. I would ask first, does your partner have a parenting plan that has something in it about how long you need to be together before you meet the kids? Does it have anything in there about meeting the mom or meeting her first? So if there are parameters set for meeting your stepkids in the parenting plan, I would say absolutely follow that. If there's no parenting plan guideline or directive as far as like meeting the kids or having to meet the mom, I would say do what feels comfortable for you guys. And here's what I would say as far as meeting the kids. Start with someplace neutral. I know that you've already met your stepkids, but if you have not met your stepkids, start by meeting the kids at a neutral place. A park, an indoor play area, an arcade, getting ice cream, frozen yogurt. Kids are always down for ice cream and frozen yogurt. Are you kidding me? And if they associate you with that, yes. But find a place that is fun or lighthearted and age appropriate for the kids. This makes it less like you're invading their space. So if you were to meet them, let's say at your partner's place, it feels like you're invading their space. I know that might sound weird, but that's sometimes how kids take it. And it also might put you in a weird situation. Like you might feel like, oh, I'm the only odd person out here. Like this is their place. I, this isn't mine. So you're already having that outsider feeling. That's why a neutral location is really good. Something fun, something lighthearted, arcades, ice cream, frozen yogurt, indoor play structure, indoor trampoline park, anything that's going to be fun. Now, when it comes to moving in, I would wait a little bit. I would move very slow with this. And I have heard, and I felt this too, from many stepmoms. I wish I kept my place on my own a lot longer than I did. And yes, 100%. But it's a lot to go from being single and living on your own to dating somebody and having kids with you half the week or whatever it is that their custody schedule is. So stepmoms are like, wow, I had no idea. Like the noise, the chaos, the scheduling, the here, there, and everywhere, like all of it, it can be a lot. And so just having that quiet place of yours that you can go back to and just check out and like just be yourself and not the stepmom version of yourself. Yes, do that. I would also take time while you still have your other place to see the dynamics of how your partner parents and how they run their house or apartment or wherever it is that they live and figure out like those day-to-day operational things. I will tell you this, you will learn new things when you move in together. There's no way to fully know someone when you are, split between your place and their place. I mean, hell, even when you are living with somebody, it's hard to know them completely, right? Like there could be still things, but you will learn new things when you move in with your partner and the kids. But here's the huge but. Prior to moving in with your partner, you want to have conversations about how you fit in. What are your expectations for when you move in? What are your partner's expectations? And here's something that I think that stepmoms fail to note because I absolutely did. When you move in, you are going from like your own place where maybe it's quiet and clean and you've got space to just be to now a place where kids can go anywhere they want in the house. And here's something that I wish that I had earlier on is a kid-free zone in our house. But it took me a long time to implement that. But once I did, I felt like I finally had a place where I could just go and be me and decompress from having kids because, wow, I had no idea. So, what are your expectations? What are your partner's expectations of you? How do you plan to parent? What kind of parent are you? What does that look like? But also, does that line up with your partner's parenting? Do you guys parent similarly? Are they aligned? Are they not aligned? And if they are aligned, awesome, great. That's half the battle. If they're not aligned, if your parenting styles are not aligned, we need to work on bringing them more towards being aligned. Like if you're on one side and your partner's on the other side, we need to move towards the middle. If you need help with that, please reach out. Like I'm happy to help you work through that. How involved are you going to be? Will you be in charge of cooking nightly? Are you in charge of cleaning, driving the kids to events? Are you expected to go to all of their events? If so, are you sitting with the kids as mom at events? And I know this is like, wow, Alicia, this is really in the weeds. Are you kidding me? But here's the thing. You are going to go in eyes wide open, knowing what the expectations are, rather than just flying by the seat of your pants. Because I'll tell you right now, that does not work. Listen to me, hear me clearly. Going into being a stepmom, my friend, is not one of those things that you want to fly by the seat of your pants. And you're doing a great job. You're already here, you're listening, and you are taking notes and you're getting the support that you need now prior to getting in. So ask all these questions now so you can go in eyes wide open and the expectations are out in the open. So your partner can't come and be like, oh, well, I thought you would know that. Or you can't be like, oh, well, I thought you would know that. No, 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 sweet girl. We are going to go in with our expectations already known. Everyone does so much better and structure expectations, all of the things. And if you don't have house expectations, at your partner's house, like for you guys and the kids, I highly recommend doing them prior to you moving in if you need kind of like house rules, but we do expectations at our house because rules sound so, I don't know, formal, and I'm kind of a rule breaker sometimes. So if you want help or you want to know more about that, head to aliciakratzko.com/expectations. I will also link it in the show notes. That way you can find it. It's a free resource I've got about trying to get you and your partner on the same page as far as like how your house is ran. That's also another thing. Are you super neat and your partner's not, or vice versa? What does that look like? So just having expectations out in the open. And here's the deal. Try to keep your conversations productive and honest and not so much accusatory, even after you move in. Meaning, you might move in and feel like you can or want to take on more. Have a conversation prior to taking on more. Otherwise, it might become the expectation, and then one day you wake up and you realize you are burnt out doing all of the things. And your partner, there's a good chance, may say to you, well, I didn't ask you to do those things, you just did them. Speaking from experience here. So have a conversation prior to taking on other things. Also, maybe after you move in, you realize oh my gosh, you've taken on way too much. Have a conversation about that too. It will be an adjustment no matter what. You will have feelings you didn't even know come out of nowhere and completely knock you off balance. You'll be like, what in the world? I did not realize that I was going to feel like that. Maybe you're a super confident, secure person. Being a stepmom, welcome is a wild ride. One day you will be like super high, high, and the next day super low, low. Actually, not even the next day, maybe like 5 minutes later. But it's going to be an adjustment no matter what. Give yourself, give everyone, especially yourself, a bit of grace to navigate living together. Please give everyone a little bit of grace living together. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a challenge no matter what. You've got an extra person. They are learning to navigate living with you. You are learning to navigate with all of these extra people. What does that look like? Again, where do I fit in, right? Conversations to have prior to moving in. But then it's going to take a while to work out the kinks. That's okay. That doesn't make you, unable to do this. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you a bad stepmom. It just makes you human. Like everyone struggles. It's okay. It's change is hard. Even if it's welcome, even if it's wanted, it's just really, really hard. So I'm gonna say this again, but give everyone, including yourself, a little bit of grace to navigate all of this. It'll be a bit more challenging than you think, but then once you've got the foundation laid out, things will be a lot more easier. Moral of the story here is keep communicating. Good, bad, and ugly, do it all. Communicating may also prove to be a bit of a challenge. Again, that's okay. You will learn your guys' communication style over time. It will get easier over time. You guys will refine your communication. It will get better. If you need help with that, hello, welcome. I would love to help you with that. Let me know. It's amazing that your partner and the kids' mom have such an amicable relationship and she's supportive of meeting you or you meeting the kids. I hope it stays that way and she's stays, my words are hard today, but I hope it stays that way and she stays being supportive of you. Bringing up things that make you feel weird to your partner is important. Communication again is key, especially when it comes to you feeling like you're on the outside watching them play family, even though that's not what they're doing, like when they're going to events and stuff. So even if that's not what they're doing, they're not going to play family, like you said, they're not going together. They want to go and see their kids. For sporting events, it's really hard getting around like being together. Trust me, I know because I've lived this for years. I see you, but that doesn't mean that you have to spend every single second at the event sitting together. So, in my little side note here, but in my story, at first, we sat together every single sporting event from the very beginning of me being in the picture. And it was so awkward for me because I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out like where I fit in and like how to navigate this. And this is so weird because I don't even know what to expect or what to think. And then so then we didn't sit together and then we would sit together. So we've ebbed and flowed. Like sometimes we would sit together, sometimes we wouldn't sit together. We went through periods of like sitting together, not sitting together, sitting together. And then we had joint celebrations for things. But it's one of those things that it's going to ebb and flow and it's really hard getting around being together at a sporting event. So having said that, it is easier if the kids can act I mean, it's easier on the kids if everyone can act like they like each other, or not even like each other, but if the adults can get along for the few minutes that you see the kids before or after a sporting event. If the kids are trying to go from like one side of the field to the other side of the field because you guys can't be within 10 feet of each other, it's a little bit harder. We would always meet out by a gate and then like see them off, and depending on whoever the kid was going with. If that's not your situation, if that's not your dynamic, it's okay for you to see the kid when you or kids when they are back at your house. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Again, this is case by case. It depends on your situation, it depends on your dynamic, on how well everyone gets along, if you even get along. But again, what works for one family might not work for another family. If certain things in this podcast so far work for your family and other things don't, take the things that work and leave the things that don't work. Everyone's family dynamic is so different. So you mentioned that your partner and the kids' mom do joint holidays and a few other things. I can understand that this brings up feelings of like insecurity, jealousy, maybe like, oh, I don't know where I fit in. But luckily, like specifically for holidays, we have a bit of time to work with. So this too goes back to communication. Do you see a common theme here? Communicate, communicate, communicate. More on that in a bit. But let your partner know how you feel. Your partner could have a conversation with the kids' mom and see if she and, her new partner still want to do joint things. Maybe your partner doesn't want to do joint things anymore. Maybe she doesn't want to do joint things anymore. Maybe it might be weird since they both repartnered. It might be weird for him to have this conversation, but it's a good starting point to just say, "Hey, you know what? Since I'm now dating someone and you're now dating someone, do you want to skip out on joint Christmas or joint Hanukkah or whatever it is?" It's okay for you to have those conversations. And worst case scenario, the parents decide that they still want to do a joint celebration, and then it happens and everyone agrees that it was so weird. At least not right now, but like eventually at some point in time, you're probably going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, do you remember 6 years ago when we had that joint holiday or a joint event and it was so awkward? It's not going to be funny now. Promise. I promise. I promise it's not going to be funny now. But now you can look back and be like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. But if they don't want to have joint stuff, that's totally fine. So if you're comfortable with going to a celebration, like a birthday, like go. And if you're not, then don't. And maybe the joint celebration is again like at an indoor play structure. Maybe it's at an indoor trampoline park. Maybe it's at laser tag or whatever it is. Maybe you just go for like a little bit of time. Or if it's at somebody's house and they've got bounce houses or whatever, maybe you just go and like bounce for a bit and like have cake. Maybe you don't go for the whole thing. It again, it depends on your comfort level and what you do or don't feel comfortable with. Birthday celebrations could also be dinner at an indoor play structure, an event space where there'll be other people to talk to. I know I already kind of touched on this, but I'm like, oh yeah, let me remind you of this. Maybe you just need to remember, okay, I don't have to talk to her the entire time that I'm there. Like, you're not required to spend every time together. Maybe you feel weird. If it makes things harder to like be together, be at that, just remember it's a fluid situation. Maybe this year you're not comfortable with joint events, but next year you're not going to be. Or maybe this year you are comfortable with joint events, but next year something happens like right before and you aren't comfortable with it. Everything ebbs and flows. Remember though that high I was talking about that you're going to have and the low lows? Same thing here. Things are going to ebb and flow. Just because you're comfortable with it now doesn't mean you always will be. Just because you're not comfortable with something now doesn't mean you always won't be. Things will change and naturally progress. Progress, not progress. Two different ways to pronounce that. Things will change and naturally just progress like as your set family dynamic unfolds. So here's the thing, you're already doing one of the smartest things. You're getting support before the chaos fully kicks in. And trust me, even when it's good being a stepmom, this role is still a lot. Don't go at it alone. Come hang out inside the Stepmom Side community or grab coaching with me and let's work through the sticky stuff together. You don't need to word vomit every single thought to your partner. In fact, please don't. Some of this work, some of this is better worked out in a space where you feel heard and supported. Because here's the thing, your partner isn't a stepmom and they're not going to get or understand or completely comprehend it's the same word as understand, I guess, all of the nuances of being a stepmom, they are also emotionally invested in this. And you guys might have differing view on things. It doesn't mean that you're right and he's wrong or he's right and you're wrong. It just means that you guys have things different. So getting outside help for me was the biggest game changer in my relationship with myself, with my partner, or now husband, with my stepkids, just like in our family dynamic. And here's why. It opened my eyes to a lot of the blind spots I did not know that I have, hence the name blind spots, right? But it also helped me transform my mindset about certain things. So if you've been here for a minute, you know, like super type A over here, control freak, black and white thinking. Black and white thinking does not work in a blended family. You've heard me say a lot in this podcast episode, what works now might not work in 5 years. What works in 5 years might not work right now, right? There's a lot of like flipping and flopping. I learned that, guess what? I didn't have to have black and white thinking. I learned that I could change my mind. I learned that I could do different things. And I had no idea. Like no one was going to hold me to it. But please get the outside help. Like I can coach you. I would love to coach you like one-on-one and give you individualized, specific, actionable advice for you and your family. It's advice that's actually tailored to you and your situation, and we can work through different stressors. Come join us inside the Stepmom Side community with women that actually understand like what you're going through and what's happening. Like, well, it can be a lot when you are trying to navigate being a stepmom like on your own. Please don't do that. So this in-between stage, just to kind of wrap this up, this in-between stage, it's confusing, it's emotional, and no one hands you a guidebook on how to ease in without tripping over the feelings of literally every single person that's involved. But the more you communicate, the more you ask questions, and the more you advocate for yourself now, the better prepared you'll be when, not if, when things get real or they get challenging. I just want to say to you this. You've got this. And when it feels like you don't, I've got you. Come back to the podcast. Come join us inside the Stepmom Side community or grab some one-on-one coaching with me. But either way, don't do this alone. Future you will thank you. I'll chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crosco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.